Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. So what is the show going to be about? The basic part of the show, Medicare for all. We don't have the lobbyist money, but we have the people and stories to fight for it. Subtitled, The Lobbyists Are Busy Misinforming and Lying to Americans About Why They Must Fear Medicare for All. But we have real people with true medical stories to tell. I had an experience this morning at a coffee shop, my favorite hole, and I tell you, I'm not going to reveal persons, I'm not going to reveal personalities, but we're going to talk about how we can do this thing. We don't have the money, folks, but we have otherwise. Medicare for all is under attack. Medicare for all is going to be a fight. We are being bombarded from three sides: the Republican leadership, the Democratic establishment, and the lobbyists, partly in the form of the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future. They're called letters PAHCF. Remember that. Those are the people that are sanctioned by those three groups that I just mentioned there to lie to you, to misinform you, to have you vote against your own interests, to have you fail, to have you sick, to have you die. It's cheaper to have you dead than to take care of you. I know it sounds harsh, and no, politicians wouldn't do that to you. You're better off dead with a lot of them, and until you realize that morality is gone, then you won't believe that. But our first segment, what is today? Today is Wednesday. It's funny, I'm from Panama. When I saw the spelling for Wednesday, what I called it was Wednesday. You guys don't know how to write in English, man. It's not Wednesday, it's Wednesday, But, okay, when you're in America, you do as the Americans do. So I guess I'll do as the Americans do. But here we are with the one and only Tamara Shealey, former Georgia candidate and activist. Tamara, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Egberto. Good afternoon. Boy, you started out grim. I was getting a little nervous there.
You were getting nervous. Why were you getting nervous?
Oh,
I'm not supposed to be making people nervous now.
It was scary. It was so scary with everything you just said.
But it's true.
Oh, it's true, and that's the scary part. If it wasn't true, it wouldn't be so scary. But because it is true, it's frightening.
And the thing about it, Tamara, is that is what we are fighting for, right? I mean, we are fighting to make sure that people, first of all, are informed. But more than informed, people have to know the truth, man. People have to understand that, everybody can tell you, I am on your side. Everybody can say, I'm for you. The question is, are they really? And to make this fight and to really have this fight, there's one thing that we have to do, and you and I are going to talk about that today, too. If we're going to win this fight, Tamara, guess what? We have to be together. We have to support each other.
And that's the hard part, Egberto, because so many of us we're so divided on so many issues all the time. It's hard, and it gets complicated, and none of us are monolithic, and it's hard, Egberto.
But you know what? I tell you what. I am sort of the type of person that, I learned to be, this didn't come automatically or anything like this. I learned how to do more listening than talking, number one. And even though, I'm on a talk show, I do a hell of a lot of talking. But I mean, when people are talking, I listen to them. Do more listening than talking, you know what I mean? But the one thing I try to do is try to point out to our folks on the progressive side that most of the American people are with us. The problem is many times we as progressives aren't with us. What do you think about that?
Right. There's a lot of, and particularly like inside of the party itself. Ooh, Egberto, as a candidate, I can just tell you that I just try to steer clear of the party politics because the dynamics inside of the party, it can be so divisive. It can be so toxic that, I just try to steer clear of it and as a candidate, just stay above it and just, but it's hard. It's hard. And if we don't figure out how to navigate this big tent, this umbrella that includes everybody and all kinds of people, I mean, the world will never, they never will outside of us. So it's hard. It's a lot of work. And those of us that are in this fight, we just have to stay committed. And some days it's easier than others.
No, I mean, I think what I think is important though is that first to realize that you have the problem. You realize that, and progressives that are listening out there, I want you to listen well here. A lot of times we mistake disagreements with fights. We mistake a difference in opinion with it being something that should keep us apart or not working together. One of the things that I hope that we will learn, and I hope I'm in my case, I hope I'm leading by example, and that is even here with good old candidate Tamara, we've had several differences on political issues. But one of the things that we will continue to do all the times is work together for the common cause. I mean, we don't necessarily agree on several particular points. I mean, I think Tamara has a thing that I don't know if you still are you still with that withhold the.
Absolutely. I will be compiling a lot of data this summer to figure out how a lot of our elected officials actually voted here in the Georgia legislature. Oh, absolutely.
And that is what I mean. And let me give an example and tell our audience a little bit about that. Tamara, and justifiably, we understand that the Democratic Party has continually left some people behind, made promises to many and not fulfilled the promises. They're always looking, in effect, they're always concerned about one particular sect of voters, and the others are throwaways. So we want to do something for the Latino community. Well, we'll do it when we can. Let me give a good example about that, Tamara. And this actually is in your favor, but I mean, I still disagree with you. But I mean, it's interesting because when Obama took power, he had a veto-proof Congress. We've had the Latino issue for a very long time as far as allowing, passing the bill that, not the DREAM Act, but allow a pathway to citizenship. All these things could have been done with his veto-proof Congress that he had for 6 months or so. But that, we fought for the Affordable Care Act, which was necessary. But at the same time, we could have fought for that, but we didn't want to mess with the water, so we put them on hold. There are several issues with the criminal justice system we just went ahead and put on hold. And we continuously put on hold these other people that we figure are not, it is one identity that we can leave behind. It's one identity that we can shoo off for a while. And I think your concept is what? Because of that, what?
You mean with the withhold the vote concept?
Yes.
That initiative? Well, it is specific to if elected officials and or candidates, if they don't have an agenda for Black and brown people specifically as a candidate or as an elected official, if you have worked against, and you are a Democrat, because we understand, the Republicans they're going to do what they're going to do. That's a bigger fight for all of us. But we need to hold our own accountable as Democrats. A lot of times they'll make a lot of false promises. They don't keep. Or they don't make promises at all. They just get elected and, skate by and don't do anything specific to that helps Black and brown people. So our initiative with withhold the vote is, as a Democrat, if you don't have an agenda or if you are not working for the betterment of Black and brown people, we're coming for you. And we have to hold our own accountable. And that's something that, it's like it's a bad thing to do inside the Democratic Party. Democrats, we don't talk about other Democrats. To hell we don't.
Well, and here's where it is. Everything that Tamara say, I agree with. The one part that I disagree with with the policy is withhold the votes. I don't think you ever not vote. And I think
yeah, you do. I'm sorry.
and I know, and
I'm sorry.
we are going to continue to disagree about that. But you know what? I am her ally, and there are so many projects that we have to work on in the progressive realm, and she's my ally. And I know that whatever I'm working on, let me make sure and not say this unless I get her permission. Are you going to be backing my initiatives, Tamara?
Am I going to be backing your initiatives?
Right.
It depends on what they are.
There you go. There you go.
You won't lead me blindly. I won't go unless I know. So.
But what I'm saying is the point that I'm trying to make with progressives is what we have a tendency to do with progressives is if we disagree on a particular issue, we are done with that group, or we're done with that person, and we're no longer going to work with that person, and it's all over. And I think that is one of the things that hold us back to work.
Like that. I don't feel like that, Egberto. I feel like, and this is where we will agree, that, we hold these Democrats accountable. And sometimes, just like with this Trump agenda, you made it very clear, of like in the beginning of the year with the whole, when Trump, what did he do and it was a mess at the beginning of the year? You remember, Egberto?
It doesn't matter. What did I do?
Okay, so my point is, when we hold the Republicans accountable, we have to hold the Democrats accountable as well. So I don't think that, withholding a vote against a Democrat that's not, doing what is in our best interest is power to me. That's how we use our power. And if we have to teach other Democrats a lesson, then we'll use that Democrat as the example.
And, like I said, and every single voter, every single progressive who has an organization has the right to have those policies in hand. And for the people that are in your districts, for the people that you have control over, they better heed your warning. I wouldn't do it that way, but that's how many people roll.
And you're nice, Egberto.
Oh, there we go. No, it's not about being nice. It's about
you're playing nice. I don't want to. We're done with playing nice. There's a whole ADOS movement going on, Egberto, across this country, where Black and brown people are sick and tired of being sick and tired of being taken for granted. So, Egberto, you know what?
No, but let me just say one thing. It's not about being nice. Let me tell you what it is in my case. The way I see it, I work like hell in the primaries. I work like hell to get the right person elected in the primaries. Right now, the litmus test for me in the primaries is I won't support any candidate at all that won't support Medicare for all and make a promise to work towards Medicare for all, period. I think that is something that is existential. That is a litmus test. Now, that leaves Biden out, our front runner. That leaves Buttigieg out. That leaves Hoopenlooker out. It leaves a lot of these candidates out. They won't ever get my vote in a primary. Now, if one of them make it through, if most Democrats put one of those guys through, I am not going to withhold the vote because on that case. And the reason why, again, is I think it is my responsibility and the responsibility of all of us progressives to fight like hell.
Vote anyway.
Yes.
So when those Bernie crats said they weren't voting for Hillary Clinton, you thought they were wrong.
They were wrong, in my opinion. Let me tell you why they were wrong. Let me give an example as to why they were wrong. Let's go to Michigan. If Hillary had won Michigan and 2 other states, Hillary would have won. Secondly, is it about the win, or is it because that's what it sounds like that's where you're going, Egberto. Is it about the win? Just about the win? No, it's not about the win. It is about her winning because, and let me tell you what the because is. The because is, I now have a lot of friends who, because Trump dismantled a huge part of the Affordable Care Act, they are now financially destroyed. Okay? So my thing is, if I had to put up with Hillary, even though I'm not a Hillary fan, I would have put up with Hillary so that my friends wouldn't be in the financial situation that they're in right now, and then I would work like hell to find a candidate that is willing to primary Hillary if Hillary didn't change her ways after being elected. Much more hopeful than I am, Egberto. I know, and but what I'm saying is that's cool. That is cool because here's the deal. To be blunt, I think we need you. We need somebody that's going to take that stance that says, hell no. We just gonna, because what you do is you make my way of being more plausible for these guys, right? Because if you don't do what we want, hell, there's Tamara back there. Look at the face. But you get my point.
Absolutely, because you know what? That's where there's so many black people right now. And I'm gonna speak specifically about black people. There's so many black people right now. This is where we are. You know what? When Trump made that statement about what do we have to lose? Nothing. He was right. We already know what it's like to be at the bottom of the barrel. We already know what it's like as black Americans. You're from another country, so you have a different perspective. But we here as black people, we know what this is. You know, Trump was not the worst thing that ever happened to us as black people. Trump was the worst thing that ever happened to white people. And now he's a slap in their face. So guess what? We could do, you know what, those of us that are on this ADOS ride, if we have to do another 4 years of Trump because the Democratic Party won't get in line, it'll hurt them more than it'll hurt us.
You know, there's absolutely some truth in that, right? That in effect, Trump. First of all, I want to make a little clarification. Yes, I'm from another country, but my hue is still black. Okay?
Well, they're going to treat you like a black man here in America, but until you open your mouth and speak, and then they hear the difference, you're treated. Then they recognize, okay, he's a little different.
Well, I'm not going to go there, but anyway.
I know that becomes a whole nother conversation. I know it, Berto, but my point
that
is
that becomes
Trump
a more complex conversation.
I know, but Trump was not the worst thing to happen to black people in this country. Trump was the worst thing to happen to white people in this country, and they're feeling the pinch right now.
And Tamara, let me tell you something that I think, in my humble opinion, black people have to do, and also Latinos have to do, right? Because the Democratic Party has taken them for granted so long. And to put it bluntly, specifically, black women have been taken for granted by the Democratic Party for so long. I think it is imperative for them to exert that force. I mean, that's why I look at you and I told you, while I don't necessarily, while I don't agree with the movement, you would always have my support.
It's just not your approach.
Right, and but you do have my support, and that's what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing that I told my Bernie guys. I am, you know, well, when we were in Philly for the convention, some of us Berniacs were trying to help not let our Texas delegation go crazy. And you had some Berniacs in many other delegations doing the same thing. We had different approaches, and I think the having of the several approaches to how we do this is necessary, because more than likely, if we didn't have people like you that were more stern in what they're going to do, maybe our approach would be less effective.
And we're not playing. 2020 is right around the corner, and if the Democratic Party does not get it together and pull this party together and is intentional about addressing each community's needs, intentional with a specific agenda, not just talking points. You better have a specific agenda about what you're going to do. If you don't, and this is a warning, and this is those in the party better hear this, we will have another 4 years of Donald Trump, because a lot of us will withhold the vote.
And here's the funny thing about it, but let me tell you, Tamara.
It's power. It's power, and this is the next generation of the civil rights movement. They gave us the vote, they took us for granted, and now we're going to take our damn votes back and let y'all rot, because that's what's going to happen.
It's funny. I was speaking to one of my good friends at Starbucks today, Patricia Galani. She's a wonderful activist that makes a great leader out here, but she's also one of your average, how should I say, somebody that when people see her talk, we were talking on certain subjects like this, because I could see her hesitancy with policies like having litmus tests for Medicare for all or whatever, because she is I could see that some of what that organization that I was speaking about, the Partnership for the Future of American Healthcare, is actually making an impact. And it's great, because what I saw in her is I saw an approach that I think all of us can use to work, and she saw a lot of the approaches that I think can actually work with convincing people that, yeah, I think it's for real now, and the Democratic Party better get on the
They
right
better, I'm
bandwagon.
telling you, they better, because there's a movement and they want to, make these people, the ADOS movement seem like it is, these are trolls, these are Russian bots. Nope. We're Black and brown people that are serious
I thought it
about
was a Russian
what
bot
we,
at the beginning myself.
no,
I
absolutely it's
honestly
not.
thought so. I'll be frank with you. I think I told you that several times before. I told you, you better make sure that this group that you guys are working with is a real. And then I said, did a little bit of research and said, oh my God, it's real. The Democratic Party better watch it.
They better watch it because
I'm
we
coming to your
are,
phone call. Let me get this phone call in case they wanted to address you as well, Tamara. So let me get this. Okay, come on in, 651. You're hot.
Hello?
You're on.
Oh, yes, I'm just calling to say I support Medicare for all,
Mm-hmm.
and I do so because I think it's time to get greed out of the health care.
I am with you, my brother. What's your name?
Gene Richardson
Gene,
from St.
thank you.
Paul, Minnesota.
Gene from Minnesota, thank you so kindly for calling in, because you know what? We need a lot of you. Now, I want you to stay and listen to the program after Tamara's segment is over, because we're going to talk about what people like you can do about making sure that we get that Medicare for all and force the Democratic Party to do what it needs to do so that Tamara here doesn't have to make sure to activate her ADOS movement. Okay, my friend?
it's not, it's
Will
our,
do. I'm often I listen and sometimes reply, but I felt today I had to call in.
I thank you so kindly, Gene. You have a wonderful day. If you want me to keep you on hold or you want to hang up the phone?
I can hang up and then look at what you're asking me to do.
Great. Thank you, my friend, and thank you very much for calling in, sir. Okay, Tamara, see, there you go. You are activating people, Tamara. What can I say?
well, the ADOS movement is not my movement. I started Withhold the Vote right here in Georgia after my third run for the Georgia State Senate, where a race was ran against me. And I wanted people to be mindful that, there was no agenda that was all inclusive by the candidate that actually stole the race from me. There was no agenda. She ran on her whiteness, and her whiteness defeated me. But I just want us to be mindful as voters moving forward that we have
Well,
to have those that are going to represent us in office.
can I modify your statement, dear? Humbly modify your statement. You said her whiteness beat you. I would rather say the Democratic Party used the excuse of her whiteness to beat you.
It was both. I will agree. It was both, but ultimately it was the fact that it was a Democratic primary. They supported a white woman because she was more electable, because our district is predominantly white, and she was more electable because she looks like the district. Not that and she had voted for me twice already if she was a Democrat. So it was just so much, and there was, it goes into a deep hole, but I just want, the whole Withhold the Vote movement. I want people to be mindful that candidates and elected officials have to represent us as Black people, as brown people.
I want to make another statement as well. Do remember that Black members of the Georgia Democratic Party were also in on the con.
Oh, absolutely,
It's
they were.
important, and that's the reason why you're in to this, to affect the Democratic Party proper and not individuals, because the party is where the disease lies.
Oh, absolutely. It's a disease that has spread to the party and, of course, to these individuals. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of work to do, Egberto, but I appreciate being on your broadcast. I appreciate you giving me a platform. And I want to continue to have more conversations that are specific like this. And, I know probably got some people pissed off, but there it is.
I don't think you have people more pissed off than people usually are, but the thing about it is I think we got to do this. Tamara, our time is up. I thank you so kindly for being here as usual. And again, allies forever, my friend, and that's what progressives need to realize. Whether you're in agreement or not, we have to learn what allies mean. We support each other. Is that right?
That's right. And join us. We'll be actually talking about reparations and the whole ADOS movement. We have someone, Mr. Chris Lodson out in California, who is very active on the ground with reparations and the whole ADOS movement. He's going to join us this Friday on the Tamara for Georgia broadcast at 11 a.m. right here on Facebook and YouTube.
Again, that is Tamara for Georgia on the Facebook Live, and it will be on YouTube as well. Tamara Shealey, former Georgia candidate and premier activist. Thank you so kindly for being with us, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Have a good one. Folks, that was Tamara, and let me tell you, folks, we need to get busy on Medicare for All, but since I have another call, let me go ahead and pick up that call, and we'll go ahead and move on thereafter. Caller from 973. Come on in.
Hey, Alberto, how are you today?
I am fine. Who am I
This is
speaking?
Johnny.
Johnny, talk to me, my friend.
It's Johnny. I just wanted to address Tamara's, because one of the things as an ADOS, I love the fact that she is down for the movement. I feel like we're finally starting to coalesce. But the problem that I have two issues with the movement. One, it needs to be a little more inclusive.
Explain.
I feel like I feel in some ways we need to do a better job of building alliances. I'm not saying that, I feel like at the end of the day, we're going to need the support of people outside the ADOS community. And so one of the things that I don't want to see happen with this movement is I don't want to see a situation happen where people are doing silly things like withholding their vote. We have fought too hard for the vote. Now, what I would argue to Tamara or anyone else is that they need a proper voting strategy. So, for example, my voting strategy is I am a registered Republican. And that allows me to pick the enemy. I'm going to always vote democratically. But as a registered Republican, I get to vote in the Republican primary. And on those moments when we get to pick among the candidates, I get to pick the enemy.
Right.
And I feel like that is a voting strategy. You see? And I feel like far too many people in my community and outside of it don't have a voting strategy. It's just go to the booth and vote Democrat. And I could feel them feeling that sense of like whatever we do doesn't really matter.
Are you a member of the movement at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes.
The reason I'm asking you that
one of the things.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you that, Johnny, is what you just said sounds very plausible to me, and it seems to me like you should get on board with the leadership of the group and talk to the Tamaras and all the other folks and see where you guys can strategize on the movement.
Well, the problem is that, and here I go with my excuse making, is that I'm just very busy, and I don't want to get into it too deeply and make excuses.
Right.
But for the first time, but the issue is that what I find very interesting is that for the first time in the history of our country, Black Americans, the descendants of slaves, have an identity, an identity that we've been able to kind of coalesce around. And then the other thing is we finally have the data. We finally have the data that shows that even though Oprah's been selected, Jay-Z's been selected, they've been selected to hide the lack of wealth in our community. So they'll say, well, look, LeBron James has millions of dollars. It's not our fault. It's not the system. It's you, the individual. But then when you look at the numbers, and the data shows that Black Americans only have like around 2% of American wealth. 2%. There's no way we can sustain 15% of the population on 2% of the wealth. We need a bigger piece of the pie.
You know what is so funny, Johnny? I'm so happy that you talk about, you said selected, I used the word chosen. When, I don't know if you listened to my show when I spoke about when Smith gave, the billionaire black guy named Smith gave $40 million to Morehouse College in order to pay those students.
Yes.
And I wasn't impressed. And a lot of people gave me hell for saying I'm not impressed.
And
I wasn't impressed.
And they were wrong. You were correct. But and I heard your show on that, and I would just add one thing. The thing that you weren't able to get out of it, that is hard to pick up, it's nuanced. The fact that that billionaire was willing to pay off their student loans instead of endowing the money to the university is an indictment of the university.
Right.
Because if he really wanted to make his money go further, giving the university $40 million would have a greater impact than just paying off one class year's student loan.
Exactly. And
but what he was really saying,
Yes. And
but what he was really saying by not giving the money, by doing it that way, what he was really saying is that he doesn't trust the institution. The institution is corrupt. It's not serving the purpose it was designed for. It's not serving the people it was designed for. And to go to Morehouse, it's 20% more than to go to, let's say, a Georgia Tech.
Right.
So it costs you more money to get a lower education. And this is why I mentioned to you before, that we need to consolidate the historically black colleges.
Right.
There's too many of them.
Right. Now,
and the resources are spread too thin.
Yeah, one of the things that I did say as well, and the reason that wasn't impressive to me is that gift was more to I saw that gift as an investment for him. This guy makes a 22% return on investment. Very good. If you're making 22% return on investment, that means you're taking a hell of a lot of money from most of the people who are not making 22%, given that the economy only grows at 2%, which means that is why we get income inequality, because some people are extracting more. There's a legal way to extract more, and he found how to do it. And when he puts his name out there and he says, I am give this $1 million, these several $1 million to this university, immediately everybody starts to Google, who is Smith? Who is Smith? Poor people and rich people start to Google, who is Smith? Smith is a guy who runs an investment firm that has a 22% return. I am going to invest millions with him now. That is
so what you're saying is saying that his Q value, his Q value, he increased his Q value by making that donation.
Exactly, and he's going to recover that $40 million both in tax breaks as well as free advertising that he got on CNN and everything else. If he had to pay for the advertising that he got for that gift to promote his company that makes a 22% return on investment, it would cost him a whole lot more than he's going to make a profit on that gift. And what I try to tell people
but that's the American.
It's the American way. You're right.
That's the American way, because that's what we do. We use black people as rocket boosters. You see, it's like a space shuttle. Black people are the rocket boosters that get you in the geosynchronous orbit.
Right.
And then once they get you up high enough, we're discarded, dropped off, and falling into the sea.
And you keep.
But we're used to boost people up.
And what I try to tell a few people as well is, a lot of the people's, I never played a race card. I am never racial. I just call race as it is. Interesting.
As you see it. Yeah, I mean, come on, you have to.
Interesting. Some people decided to say that I was using a reverse race card, and that I was saying, how comes I am criticizing the black guy who made it in America and did things? And I'm like, the black guy who makes it in America isn't the black guy anymore, because race is a fictional thing. It's a fictional, and I don't mean fictional, and the thing about it's a fictional thing used to enrich, and that's why I talk about having to come together all the time. It's another subject. I don't want to get into that right now, Johnny, but I just want to say that.
That's a great point. No, that's a great point. But I just want to just reiterate my original point, which was voting there needs to be an understanding of voting strategy. There are things that we can do as regular people to mitigate our circumstance and challenging the vote. And like I said, one of those things is for example, black people earn 13% of the population of America, but guess what? If a significant portion of us were registered as Republicans, we get to pick the enemy.
Right. No.
We get to swing that vote to pick the enemy. So then therefore, a guy like Trump doesn't even get through the primary. And that's where a guy like Trump has to be stopped, at the primary
and
level.
I'll close with you on this, Johnny, before I get into Medicare for All, which I need to get into Medicare for All. And folks, stick around with me. We're going to be talking Medicare for All very shortly. What I'd like...
And
yes.
I love that subject too.
Yes, I do know that. Absolutely. You can always call back on me on that subject, but keep on watching. Do you watch it on Facebook Live, or do you watch it on Blog Talk Radio?
Actually, I caught you on YouTube one time.
Got it.
And then I just put your number in my speed dial.
Love you, brother. I love you, brother. But
you
and Tamara should get together and discuss some of this stuff. All right, my friend?
I'm going to wait till you talk to Sandy Darity, Dr. Sandy Darity, and then everything will be better.
Oh, it sounds good, brother. I need
once
you to do me one favor.
Dr. Sandy Darity,
I need you to do me one favor, because I'm not tactile right now. go ahead and send me that info again, because I'll be honest with you. You told me that a couple of days ago, and I forgot about it. I got to be honest with you.
It's okay. No, you're busy. Listen, you're making the rounds, brother. Keep doing your thing. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, here we go. Let me bring up what I said I was going to talk about. I mentioned earlier in the blog of the week, Medicare for All is going to be a fight. We are being bombarded from three sides: the Republican leadership, the Democratic establishment, and the lobbyists, partly in the form of the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future. Let me tell you what's the most disconcerting thing in the Medicare for All fight. And this hurts to the core. And I want you to listen well. And please, I want you to also make sure to promote and share what I'm going to talk about here. I don't even need to say that many other countries use some form of Medicare for All. I don't even have to say that the national healthcare system in England, in the UK, is, while it's not the luxury system that a lot of people even here cannot get, but I mean, it solves the healthcare problem. Everybody in England, in the United Kingdom, have healthcare free at delivery. I'm not talking about it being free. Healthcare is not free, no matter where you are. And for all those people that say, "Oh, you want everything for free, you want free healthcare," we don't want free healthcare. We want there to be an equitable way to pay for healthcare and to ensure that anybody who gets sick or need to see a doctor can walk somewhere and see a doctor and not have to first think, am I going to have to lose my license? Am I going to have to lose my rent? Am I going to have to lose my home? That is what we want. A society, a real society, that's what they have. But in an extractive society, a society that says, I have got to take everything that I can get. And if I have pricing power, there's nothing that I can't take from you, which is the type of society we have today. It's hard for us to absorb this because we don't normally think in those norms. We just think things are the way they are supposed to be. We think that, oh, well, you need to go to a doctor, you have to check the insurance company, you see, ask the insurance company for permission for the procedure. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to first tell the story. And then I'm going to tell you how ridiculous the story is. A friend of mine, husband got cancer. And after he got cancer, they had to determine his treatment. They fought for 2 months because the treatment that was advised by the doctor was not the treatment the insurance company wanted to provide. The insurance company felt that it was more economical to provide another procedure. Ultimately, the patient won, but they had to wait 2 months before they started the treatment. Whenever you have those people who oppose Medicare for All, they say they like their private insurance. This person had private insurance. They said they like choice. This person had no choice, or they had to fight for their choice. They needed to go to that insurance company and beg them for 2 months as those cells continued to grow. They had to fight. They had to go out there and say, please, I beg you, I need to have this particular procedure. Yet, they talk about in Canada, you have to wait. In Canada, this person would not have had to wait for cancer. They would have had to wait for a hip replacement. They would have had to possibly wait a few weeks for a knee replacement. Things that are not life-threatening because they want to be efficient. And why, if you have a whole bunch of people come for a knee replacement, and then at another point in time, there are nobody, you have a whole lot of resources that are going unused. So the reason why you have queues, wait lines in Canada and the UK and these other places for those types of procedures is that they make sure that those doctors are utilized maximally. In fact, if you come to the United States for these special procedures, you'll find doctors that may not do an operation for some X amount of time. Why? Well, because we have an oversupply in certain places and an undersupply in other places. The most important thing is what a Canadian doctor said, and she spoke about queue management. And that is the most important thing in healthcare. Accurate and good queue management, but at the same time being able to afford those people who are critical, immediate medical care, and that's what they do. But they lie to you. They lie to you, and they ask you not to look at your own experiences as being the experiences of our failed medical system. They ask you to not see what's really there and have you fear something that will definitely be better. I will guarantee you that the 180 million people, even Democrats, are saying, oh, they love their private insurance. Why are we going to have Medicare for all? It's going to take their insurance away. That's a right-wing talking points put out by the Partnership for the Future of American Healthcare. That is a right-wing group that even the AMA has joined. The National Group of Physicians, National Healthcare Physicians, they're marching on the AMA today to say, get out of that group now. Either get out of that group or get out of the way, because we are in this for the patients. We are in this to give people health care. There are more physicians realizing that the only way we can give honorable health care, the only way we can follow the Hippocratic Oath, the only way that this can be done is if we have Medicare for all. And the reason why, my brothers and my sisters, is because otherwise it is theft. The reason my friend's husband had to wait 2 months is that insurance company wanted to make sure of one thing. How can we maximize the monies for the shareholders? How can we maximize the money for everything else? Don't be fooled. Medicare for all, I'm coming to your phone line. The swords are coming, and the reason for the swords is only to save money, not to save your life. Many times, this friend told me of yet another friend of hers who had in the early stages a similar tumor that McCain had. But of course, delay. Many of these insurance companies, for a lot of these procedures, delay because, you know what, they rather you die. And you sit down and you say, when I said that earlier, Tamara said, oh, Egberto, that is scary. It's not scary at all. It is the truth. When the congressman went on TV a few years ago in Congress, and he said Republicans have one health care policy, and that one health care policy is, if you need health care and you don't have insurance, die. But not only die quickly. He was right. There's no morality here. This is simply about the green, about monies. And the truth of the matter is, these guys want to take all your money to pay a bill. There is absolutely no reason for a private health insurance company to pay a bill. Paying a bill is simple. Yes, we need to have anti-fraud. We need to have all those people, but we can do that within the government. We don't need to pay shareholders, advertising companies, $1 million salaries. The $1 million salaries already is theft. They do nothing to earn that money. Pay a bill. It's the biggest ripoff that there is. Let's have basic health care, and if people want to have private healthcare where they put petals on your bed and they give you wine and caviar, then you can buy a private policy to do that. They can write one for that. But come on, as a society, let's be real. Okay, before that, I'm coming to your telephone call. I just need to make a quick pitch here. Folks, our cups are out. You see the Politics Done Right cups? This is how we're going to spread the message. We need your help. We need to have different forms of funding to keep this stuff going. We're going to be going to Philly to interview all these candidates, interview these activists out there. Help us do that. Please go ahead and get yourself the Politics Done Right cup that you see I have there. And of course, anybody who subscribed, just give me a call or send me an address and I'll send you a Politics Done Right bumper sticker. And of course, if you go to store.politicsdoneright.com, again, that is store.politicsdoneright.com, you can get t-shirts and with the Politics Done Right insignia, all that good stuff. But folks, what I'm asking you to do is to please become a subscriber of Politics Done Right by going to patreon.com/politics done right. That is patreon.com/politics done right. Support the show. We are going to be in that fight. We're going to make sure that they don't get a chance to take Medicare for all off the table, and we're going to make sure Biden, nobody that comes out and says anybody who says they're not for Medicare for all, anybody who uses right-wing talking points to stop Medicare for all, meaning Hickenlooper, you're out. Meaning Biden, you're out. You're out. If you are going to lie to the American people, if you are going to cause their deaths because of because you are trying to be nice to your givers, to your benefactors, you are out. And the goal of Politics Done Right between now and the end of 2020 is to ensure that no Democratic Party candidate who does not support Medicare for all is elected. None. And it's our job also to inform and to teach and to educate and to show the facts behind why Medicare for all is the only solution and anything else is theft. It is our goal to do that. We love people. They love a system. We love people. We want people healthy. Folks, this is real. This is real. And we cannot allow the fear, we have to have the status quo because people want the 180 million people want their health care. Hell no, they don't want their health care. They think that's all they got. And they're made to believe that anything else is going to be damaging to them. We have to tell them the truth. Help me do that, please. We have to be out there everywhere. We have to be there telling stories. I spoke to a contributor earlier today, and I said, ma'am, yes, we are going to be. My goal is I want videos. I want you guys that have issues. I want you guys who the insurance company screwed up. Send me a letter. Send me an email. Send me a video. Tell me the story. We're going to plaster your story all over the darn. We don't have the money to put it on TV. But we have the money to blast it out, baby. Both on emails, we have the money to blast it out on, or you're going to subscribe to us. We're going to be able to do that. But we have to be the ones proactively working to put this thing through because Biden is not going to do it. Hickenlooper is not going to do it. Johnson is not going to do it. They are pawns of the plutocracy. Now, here's the deal, and I want all my wonderful Democrats to know this. If for some reason the person who squeaks by and becomes our candidate is not the one who actively supports Medicare for all, the question that many ask, will you then abandon that candidate? No, I'm a very responsible voter. I will not. I will not. I will support the choice of Democrats, but I'll continue even when that person is elected, fight like hell to make sure that we elect people that support Medicare for all. It is essential. So, folks, please go to patreon.com/politics done right. And also, please support and subscribe. I mean, it's inexpensive. We need you. Also, you get lose weight and be fit now. That is how I got my weight under control, my blood pressure under control, my health under control. That allows me to continue doing this. Of course, online, you'll also be able to read As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Of course, you can purchase that book, either one of those books on Amazon.com. I'm currently writing How to Make America Utopia. All these things are online. I'm coming to the phones now. Let me get back to my main screen. Okay, come on in. I think this is 314. My eyes are filling. 314, come on in.
Hey, Egberto. It's Patricia. How are you?
Patricia, I mentioned you earlier today. How are you doing, my friend?
I know you did. And the reason I'm calling is because one of your listeners put a message on about, hey, it's all hearsay, and, you know, I could make up a story about a grandma with health care issues. And, well, if he's still listening, I'm that grandma, and you didn't make up the story. The truth of the matter is, and my husband was diagnosed, it was bladder cancer he was diagnosed with, which in of itself is one of the more curable cancers. But when you wait like we had to for a couple of months before you start getting any treatment, then all of a sudden something that's a simple cancer, you worry if, wow, did that 2 months make a difference? And you did not mention this, and I know you didn't mention it out of concern for our privacy, but what the insurance wanted to do, instead of giving him the treatments that the doctor had suggested, they wanted the doctor to just remove the bladder.
Wow.
Yeah, remove the bladder. Don't give treatments, remove the bladder. Because in their mind, if we give you all of these treatments and you go through this for the better part of a year, and then the cancer comes back, you might have to have your bladder taken out anyway. So the insurance company would just rather do it that way and get it over with.
And that is a shame. And
we were just appalled.
That is a shame, and you're
Yeah,
correct.
we were appalled. Yeah.
The reason I said
I am
nothing,
correct,
Patricia,
I know.
the reason I said nothing is I didn't want, like I said, I wanted to make sure and maintain your privacy because you had not given me permission to tell your story, so I wanted to tell your story in a general form. So I really appreciate you calling
Well,
in.
thank you. I mean, I just wanted to let everybody know that's listening that you didn't invent this story, that it is real, and I am very much Medicare for all. And will the Medicare for all, there be somebody trying to make a profit? Yeah, probably, but not to the extent that they're doing now with all of the different drug companies and insurances and everybody wanting to make millions of dollars, and instead of the little people having to suffer. So that's all I have to say this afternoon, and I enjoyed having coffee with you this morning.
Thank you very much, Patricia. I mean, that is, like I mentioned to you, and I want to mention this to you while you're on the phone. Your stories are more important than anything I can say. And that is one of the reasons I'm asking everybody that's listening here, everybody, if you have a story, email me your story at info@politicsdoneright.com. Email a video. Give me a video of your story. The videos are much more effective. Send me something. We don't have the money that the lobbyists have, but we have the people, and we have the people that are really suffering, and we want to hear from all those people. Thank you so kindly, Patricia, for calling in, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
See you soon, my dear.
Thank you, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, folks, so that was Patricia, and she is absolutely right. When she told me the story, but I hadn't asked for permission. She hadn't given me permission to come and tell the story, so I had to tell the story in a fashion that maintained privacy in a more general fashion. So I can't thank Patricia enough for coming on and telling the story. And let me tell you something, folks. I hear these stories all of the time, all of the times. And let me tell you one of the biggest problems that we have. Americans are very good at suffering in silence. I remember in my neighborhood, when the oil industry went down and a lot of people here are working for oil, and I saw homes after homes just going out, and you know people were having problems, but nobody says anything. They suffer in silence. Same thing with healthcare. We heard of a neighbor who just fell dead. Why? No insurance. And well, by the time she got seen, it was too late. I can tell stories after stories after stories, but we so often suffer in silence. If you notice the way I am on Facebook and social media, I've learned to be wide open, because the truth of the matter is we are all living similar lives, no matter what state of life you think you're in, whatever. We're just people trying to get by. Some better than others, some less so than others, but we're just people trying to get by. And what we have is an economic system that is killing us. We have an economic system where people can't talk. It is amazing to me when somebody is sick, and the first thing they have to think about is not how are they going to get care or where best. The first thing they think about is, how am I going to pay for this if I go into that emergency room? That could change the whole trajectory of my life. That is what lack of Medicare for all. There is no patchwork. Obamacare tried. when Republicans talk about many people have Obamacare but they can't afford to use it, they're not lying. But they are guilty. And Democrats are guilty for using the same talking points Republicans are using to ask you to get less than what you deserve, to what you can afford, so that you can afford your wealth to a whole bunch of plutocrats. You know why I get passionate about this? Because I know. I know how it works. I know how the economic system works. I know how the transfer of wealth occur. I also know that it's done in a manner that the average American citizen who has to go to work every day, who has to come home and take care of kids, who has to work a second job, who has to do all these things, they don't have the time to do the kind of reading that many of us activists have the time to do or force ourselves to do. So they don't know. So when you have an organization with millions of dollars to do psychological profiles as to what will work best to convince people, it is easy for them to beat us activists down to the ground, because when we come out and say Medicare for all, you have some of them saying, oh, that's a slogan. What does it really mean? It means exactly what it says, Medicare for all. And we sit back and watch them take advantage. And those of us in the know, those of us who've had the time to study this, understand that it's those with price and power. It's understand that those who control the drugs, they're pilfering you. You can't talk about, if you look at an insurance company, just an insurance company alone, for an executive to make $40 million, that means, and think about, let's say the average premium is $10,000, just as an example. That means before you get health care, 400 people would have had to pay premiums, or 4,000 people would have had to pay premiums to pay his salary. People, please understand the theft, understand the pilfer, understand the immorality. Please, don't let them come with all kinds of beautiful stories, and that is why I need your stories. We need your stories about what is it that the insurance company has done to you? What is it that the drug company has done to you? Tell us those stories, because they're going to have theoreticals. If you do that, then you're not going to be able to get care. Of course, every other country in the world that does it, the people are healthier than we are. I said, politics done right. The major goal of politics done right between now and the election is Medicare for all. That's existential. You don't have health care, you don't have a job. You don't have health care, you can't form your own business. You don't have health care, you can't live a good life. You are worrying about how not to go to a doctor. You get sick, you're stressed. Folks, don't look at those of us pushing Medicare for all as some lefty, crazy bunch of folks. Look at it as folks who understand that we can afford it, that we can stop the pilfer, and that we are working for nobody else but you. I'm asking you folks to subscribe to Politics Done Right so we can continue to teach the message, so that we can continue to sell the message, so we can continue to dispel the fallacies from all these organizations, the Republican Party, the AMA, the establishment Democratic Party, who's now using the right-wing talking points, and the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future. We have a lot of work to do. But we need your support. I'll be honest, I'm bleeding myself dry doing this. We need your support. Patreon.com/politics done right. Patreon.com/politics done right. I need hundreds of low-cost memberships. So I'm asking you so kindly to please join the fold. Patreon.com/politics done right. Subscribe. We can do this. We can be the difference. They want you to believe that you don't have the ability to do it because they have the money to advertise on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and all these places, but we got you. We can reach you through email. We can reach you through Facebook. We can reach you through Twitter. We can still reach enough of you to make a difference. That is my goal. The reason I work 16 hours a day to do this stuff is because I used to say, somebody got to get this stuff done. Then I said, you got to be a part of getting this stuff done. Patreon.com/politics done right. We're at the end of the show, folks. I thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We're going to be getting out of here. You know how I'm going to end this, baby. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.